Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gamers, geezers, geeks, and video viewers alike. It's our first Nut Punch podcast of 2021. As always, I'm in put my stall, Nigel.
On this side, hello.
Visual gag doesn't work on the podcast. Have you got the ability to talk? I
can't hear anyone at the moment. I don't know if I can hear Nigel, but I can't hear you. Sorry, guys.
You can't hear me?
Oh, yeah, there you are. I was reading your lips. That's why I thought. Right,
okay. All right. Anyway,
you seem to be back.
I think you need to make your microphone slightly closer.
My microphone's fine.
No, we can hear you fine now. This is a great start
hang on
to
a second.
January.
January 21st, and the Gremlins bloody pop out.
You were absolutely fine. You know,
beforehand, we're absolutely fine. I'm wondering if it's turned on adaptive mic leveling, which sometimes it does, which is annoying as hell. Anyway, welcome to the first Monkey Nut Punch podcast of 2021. As always on these podcasting journeys, it's Nigel.
Hello, everyone, and stuff.
And yes. A man who's in lockdown at a holiday resort in Thailand. It's Keith.
I'm literally cast away on a desert island, and I am not lying. I'm sitting on a beach. I can see palm trees and sand.
Do you know what? I can think of worse places.
Oh, there are far worse places to be stuck.
I've been in lockdown, and so has G. In our houses, and yes, we're allowed to go for walks and stuff, and go to the shop to buy essentials. However, Keith is on a desert island, and I think I much prefer to be there. Really, really would.
Yes, I'm not complaining. Although the bar's shut, I couldn't order myself a pina colada, which I'm not impressed by.
Do you know?
There's far worse places to be locked down.
I am insanely jealous because one of the programs we'll talk about later actually reminds me a little bit of where you are at the moment.
Yeah, apart from the murder. Are you there to
solve any murders, Keith?
No, unfortunately, there has been no murders.
And you haven't been recruited by the local constabulary to become a detective?
No, but there are a lot of friendly geckos, which my wife is scared crapless of, and I love them. And there's two that were living on our landing, and they seemed to have a party last night because another three turned up, and she was not best amused. And I'm thinking they're all cute little things, but she scared them. So yeah, there are geckos, lots of them.
Just call them all Harry.
Yeah, call them all Harry. Anyway, this podcast is a podcast where we're going to talk about our favourite things that kept us sane during 2020. Some of them happened at the end of 2019 and kind of bled over into 2020, and some of them are in 2020 and kind of bled over into 2021. So, first of all, we're going to talk about our favourite TV shows. And we can't talk about our favourite TV shows without talking about my favourite TV show at the moment, The Expanse, which has been airing on Amazon. And I found out something really interesting, Nigel, we might want to do. You can do watch parties for anything on Amazon Prime on Twitch. So we could do a watch party, watch the whole episode of The Expanse on Twitch, and we don't get hit with copyright strike because Amazon own Twitch and Prime, which is fantastic. But anyway, going back into that, The Expanse came back and it unveiled its, how can I put it, the worst boyfriend in the world ever, in the shape of Marco Inaros, who is a belter who has now decided to take control of the Sol system. And he's done it through some insidious ways. He's attacked the Martian Parliament. He's in league with someone called Winston Duarte, Commander Winston Duarte at the moment, who is after a certain proto-molecule, and they've given him a navy and whatnot, and it's fantastic. He plays a great bad guy on it. All the crew are all broken up into little bits. You've got Alex and Bobby doing their own thing. You've got Holden stuck on Tycho Station. You've got Naomi Nagata. She's being held hostage by Marcos Inaros on the Pella, and then you've got Amos on Earth and Avasarala on the Moon. The last episode, really good. The previous episode, even better. That one where everything just went to shit when they started dropping rocks, and then they took out Fred Johnson and stole the protomolecule. Mwah, fantastic bit of TV. And then they had the follow-up to it. It's a bit weird because the girl who portrays Fred Johnson and shoots him doesn't shoot him in the book, but she does betray the crew by putting in the firmware which will cause the reactor to explode when you switch it on. So it was a bigger kind of, oh my God, you're on the bad side. You've been on the good side. You've been fixing their ship every time they turn up at Tycho Station. But that's kind of missing in this story. So it doesn't quite carry that impact. Then you've got Naomi, who's with Marcos, and Marcos showing his real stripes as a complete bastard as he kind of puts down Philip and the others. And at one point, she walks in to have dinner with them, and they're like the evil version of the Rocinante crew. Yeah, you've got a big fella in there like Amos. You've got Marcos, who's got Holden, and you've got the black girl, who's like Naomi. Apart from you've got Philip replacing Alex, which is a bit on the weird side. But it did give you the kind of like the mirror opposite of what the Rocinante are doing and trying to do. It was fantastic. Amos breaking out of the pit with Clarissa, Koenigsegg being an absolute bastard and getting killed at the end. Absolutely brilliant. I loved it all. I've got so many thoughts whirling in my head to do with it. I'm just going to ask you guys to talk, and I'm going to add in bits as you talk. So Nigel watched it recently, so I'll go to Nigel first, and then we'll go to Keith after.
Yeah, well, I was trying to remember Clarissa's name. Clarissa, is it Clarissa? Mal?
Clarissa, yeah.
Clarissa Mal. Yeah, I was trying to recall. So I recognised her face, and it's been a while since I watched The Expanse. And then I was looking at it going, recognise her. Luckily, on the tablet, when you're watching Amazon Prime, you can tap it, and it will tell you the actress's or the actor's name and
that X-ray. It's called X-ray. It's got that feature on it when you watch on TV too. So you can pause it, it'll pop up, and it'll tell you all the people in the scene and who they are. So it's fantastic. It's great for watching. That
was really handy. I was going, what was her name? I can't quite tap. Oh yeah, it's Mal. Okay, but I can't remember why she was in what seems to be a maximum facility.
She destroyed an Earth freight support frigate and blamed Holden on it, and almost started off in interplanetary war between the Belters and everyone else.
But why? Okay, so vaguely remember that. But why has she been pumped full of drugs? What is it that
she has an implant that she can trigger, and it gives her about 10 seconds of super strength, and then causes her to pass out. And if you remember the one where they were going to the ring gate and stuff, she kills someone. Like in an instance in the book, she stuffed him into her locker in her like kind of quarters. But in this, she shoves him into the locker of the ship that gets destroyed. But she has these things, and that's how she overpowered Ashford and the guards at the end, so they could do it. So they're like in the roof of her mouth. These things. The problem is that implant that gives you all that super strength and stuff is built for suicide missions, so it's not supposed to be in there long term. Yeah, and because it's not
slowly screwing her up.
Yeah, it's slowly screwing her up, and that's why Amos has turned up. And then, along with Amos, where he's had the death of the person who was the closest thing to a mother that he could have had, with her dying, and she looked after him, he now feels responsible for someone else because he's not like a person to be a father or whatnot, given what happened to him as a child. But he does want to look after someone in that way, and Clarissa is that person. And it's great when they have the little scene where he turns up, "Are you here to save me?" And then she starts crying because he is there to save her. And spoiler warning, he does save her.
Yeah, in the end, and he keeps calling the other bloke, the brute, tiny.
Yeah. Koenigsegg. That's the big thing. Oh,
yeah, but he gets his revenge in the end, though, doesn't he? Boy, does
God, yeah. He fucks that guard up, doesn't he? And then the other one pulls the guy's gun out and uses his hand to shoot the gun to kill him. And then suplexes him down the lift shaft.
He's been watching a bit of wrestling.
Oh, dude, when he went down the lift shaft, you see him batter the side of the wall, and you're like,
"Yeah,
sorry."
I mean, I've loved season 5. I thought season 4 was a step up cinematic wise from seasons 3 and production wise, it just looked so much more polished. I mean, season 1, 2, and 3, the first half of season 3 is just amazing story wise, but because they were on Sci-Fi Channel, they had a limited budget. You go and watch season 4, and just everything looks so much more polished. But season 5, the story has just been so engaging, and you know, you just want to see the next episode. And you know how they freaking left this episode with Bobby and Alex stranded in space because they've dumped the core of the ship.
You know who rescues them.
I know who's going to rescue them. But,
and you know what? Even though they even showed the ship that he was going to rescue them in, because they have to leave the Rocinante behind because the firmware needs sorting out.
But I love the episode. No episode, which you know, I can't get enough of her. I just need more of her. Because I fucking love her. I know Nige, her the way she talks bothers you, but I fucking love her. I like the fact that she's just no bullshit. She says what she fucking thinks, and that's what I like. I've enjoyed Bobby in this. I like Bobby being a bit more edgy, and you know her. I love Bobby. I still find Naomi slightly annoying, and I don't know if that is the actress or what, but I do find Naomi slightly annoying. I don't always root for Naomi.
I think it's the fact that she goes full belter when she's away from the crew.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the belter thing. I think it's she annoyed the hell out of me in season 3 when she expected everybody to listen to her after she betrayed the crew. You know, I mean, she screwed over the fucking crew, and then it was almost like this sense of entitlement. You should listen to me. No, you fucked us over. And then there's just a slight sense of entitlement again, where she's on the ship and she just expects her son to fucking, you know, listen to her, and she seems very righteous, and I'm not sure it's as clear cut as that. Like, you know, the guy that the old guy who clearly is, you know, split between his loyalty to her and his loyalty to Marcus and the belt. I find the way she's treated him, I don't know. I just find her irritating at the moment. But then, I think I'm not entirely sure you're not meant to. But maybe that's just me. I think the guy that's playing Marcus Anaris is perfectly cast, and I mean perfectly cast. God knows where they found him, but he's brilliant. And you can't fault the casting in this show. It's just so damn good.
Marco Anaris' character. He's an absolute arsehole. And it's the way he's so manipulative, and he's quite obviously manipulative, where it's the conversation he has about the rocks. Yeah, it goes, 1 rock hitting the thing, he would have been, you know, a miracle. 2, which shows us tactical brilliance. 3 says that they'll never fuck with us again. Yeah, he's turned that to his favor. Yeah, and then he kind of you know, chits on Philip and that. The bit I like too is I hate characters that are inactive in the storyline. So when Naomi gets a knife from the kitchen and goes to stab him on the bridge, I've really appreciated that, because I hate it when you have characters that have been caught and they just like sit around and like they do fuck all.
But her son saved her there. Her son saved her there. I mean, I know the story that this is based on. I can't remember the end of it, but you can see where it's going. But oh god, this is just so well bloody made. It's so well made. It's so well written, and it's so well adapted for TV. And the people behind this show are bloody good, and they're making a show that is engaging. It is not full of politics. There's politics there, but it's politics within the story, and yet it somehow manages to be one of the most diverse bloody programs on TV. And it does it all without being annoying or virtue signaling or fake. And and it just happens to be the best damn thing on TV at the moment, or on Amazon, or streaming.
It's weird because Bobby has a conversation with Alex in a previous episode where she talks about how Mars is dying. Yeah, she says that there's no point, sorting Mars out. We can just bugger off and find a new planet. Yeah, and then the character, I think his name's Sin, who's the big Amos stand-in, the evil version of Amos for the Beltage. Yeah, he talks to Naomi and he has pretty much the same conversation with her. He turns around and said, "Look, they make us, fight for air, fight for water." Because they're not going to share the resources. It goes, we can't go down on those planets. And if we do go down on those planets and we have children, they're no longer belters. So we're dying off. We're as fucked as the Martians are. Yeah. And he gives her that speech. And that kind of tells you the motivations behind what's going on. Why Marcos will be so keen to step up now. And why the Martians will be so keen to help them now. Yeah, because the Martians aren't going to be the Martians. The Martians are going to be the fucking Laconians. And it's going to be... It's so well put together. There's little things in there that happens.
Marcus Anaris is an arsehole, you're right, but his cause is not entirely unjust. I mean, okay, his methods and killing millions, okay, completely wrong, but the cause has some sympathetic sides, if that makes. The fact is, I like how complex it is. That it isn't. They're not fighting for a bad cause. There isn't. There is some sympathy there. That it's complex and complicated.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. It's an intelligent series.
He's got layers to him. He's not doing it without reason. He's not doing it to be a bad mustache twirling. He's doing it because he feels that belters are going to die off. And then they're no longer going to be belters. And then the belters that are there, then no one's going to care for them. They'll just die out. And they don't want to do that. But he does become a much bigger asshole later on. He's got much assholiness that he needs to get through before he dies. This is not peak Marcos.
Spoiler.
Not spoiler. That everyone, you've got to be able to up the ante at one point. And he...
okay, yeah, I mean... I can see where it's going. As I said, I can't remember the end of this because I don't think I got to the end through one thing or another, and I need to. But I know that he is going to meet his end because I know there's a bigger bear standing behind him. And they've slightly hinted at that in this episode. And they've also hinted at the fact that the son saves Naomi from killing the father, and you don't know if she... It's obvious that he's not just saving his father; that he's saving his mother from committing that act.
Yeah.
And that's the first sign of, not everything is completely rosy here. That he's not, he's not drinking all from the Marcus's Kool-Aid completely. So I'm loving it. It's been absolutely awesome. It is the highlight of my week, and it's only on a Wednesday. It should air on a Friday. That's my only complaint. It should be on a Friday, because then it would be the start to each weekend. But as much as I bitch and moan about the fact that I can't watch the whole lot at once, it does make it something to look forward to each week.
The other thing is, I think they made it with that in mind. Yeah, because it does feel like they're waiting for one episode to the next. Okay, we talked enough. We've waxed lyrical enough about The Expanse. Now, the world's slowest man has managed to catch up on Mandalorian, even though me and Keith have watched it. So, Nige, one of the things that me and Keith enjoyed during 2020 was the second series of The Mandalorian, which was done extremely well and very, very enjoyable. So, now you've caught up. What do you think?
I really like it. I was a bit disappointed with Ashoka. Is that her name? Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Do you know what? The more and more I see of Jedis, the more and more I think they're religious zealots who are so blinkered. Especially when it came to the child, she was like, "I can't teach him. He hasn't been."
Yeah, but hang on.
For fucking years.
You're forgetting one thing. She's not a Jedi.
No, she gave up after. Because Anakin
Keith.
was a teacher, and the reason she gave up is because Anakin became Darth Vader. So
Keith,
she's like, oh, maybe Jedi's not
not
such a good thing.
It's not something I'm forgetting. It's something I never knew. Because I'm sure that's probably in one of these cartoons that they would have told me.
Yes, because you've got Disney Plus
Rebels.
now, you can get access to the Clone Wars and Rebels, so you can watch all of them. Second series of Rebels, I think, is the best with Darth Vader.
Because from my point of view, I didn't know that I just thought she was a Jedi. I didn't know that she was not finished her training and whatnot. I certainly didn't know she was trained by Anakin. So
I suppose, Nige, you've brought up a point here. There was a lot of criticism of the second season that it was paying too much fan service. And I suppose by the fact that we know why Ahsoka acts the way she does because we've watched the cartoon, you have formed a different opinion. And that's an interesting one. And I'm not saying you're wrong to form that opinion.
My opinion was when she first came on screen, I was like, yeah, cool. She's going to take a child. She's going to, teach him. She found out he had powers. Oh, cool. They're going to work together. They worked together. They defeated the evil witch lord girl in the village, freed the people. And then she went, no, I'm not doing it. I went, what? You're a dick, mate, then. How can you not take in a little child? And he is a child.
Yeah.
He's even doing the goo goo gaga noises. So it is a child. And I sat there going, she hasn't even explained herself as to why. She just said, I can't take him in. You've got to go to this rock in this island and just let him do the rest. It was like, well, what am I waiting for then? It just made her look like a dick.
Explanation. There is an explanation at the end, but it would have had no effect on you, and therefore you wouldn't have understood. Again, you wouldn't have understood why, because you haven't seen the cartoons. So I suppose maybe if you're not a fan, then maybe there is some criticism worthy there. But the reason is she's looking for a bad guy that screwed them all over, and when she says where is Thorn, that's the reason why she won't train Grogu, because she is on a mission to, do this guy in, and this guy is a threat.
He's being set up as the Mandalorian versus a version of Thanos. That's what they're doing.
Possibly, yes.
No, they are. Set them up. Literally, John Favreau has literally just got the Marvel playbook and gone.
But they've got to get what's his face from Sherlock to play him in real life,
I imagine they probably
he's got to be voiced by him. That voice is what makes him so fucking sinister. And if they did, the guy that Sherlock murders, the Danish dude that played Charles, they renamed him, but he's based on the original character of Charles Augustus Milverton, but he was called something else.
No, he's not Milverton.
In
Milverton's. They split the Milverton character into two.
Yeah, they kind of did. But anyway, the guy that plays him, that Sherlock shoots, voices Thorn in Rebels and in Clone Wars. And Thorn was a general in the Empire who was blue skinned, and throughout the whole of the expanded universe, he was like the big bad Thanos style geezer. And then when Disney bought Star Wars, they did away with the expanded universe, but they brought back Thorn because he was so goddamn popular. And anyway, he disappears at the end of Rebels. He disappears with a load of space fish and Ezra Miller, and then Ahsoka and Sabine Wren go on a hunt for him. And that's where it was left off. Now, the fact that Ahsoka is back means that Sabine is somewhere, supposedly, maybe. And it also means that Ezra Miller is somewhere, which we thought was going to turn up at the end of The Mandalorian. As it turns out, a really bad CGI version of Luke Skywalker turns up. But it was awesome. I've watched it again, and it is awesome. It's fucking awesome. It's just the CGI is really bad. And I saw a guy with a deep fake app do a much better job of it.
Well, I don't know. It looked all right from my perspective. The CGI of Mark Hamill. It did look alright. You know, they couldn't get Mark obviously because he's a bit older now.
Apparently,
So
that was Mark Hamill.
Yeah, it was voiced as Mark Hamill. It wasn't Mark Hamill.
That was him on that set.
Was it?
The bit where he's standing on the set talking to them, it was, because apparently they had to keep it secret all year round.
Oh, well, I know it was certainly him voicing it in the end. I did realise it was him voicing it. But look, I mean, I really understand why the people that really Star Wars got really emotional about it. The second time I watched it, I was far more emotional. And just watching Luke Skywalker fully fucking powered, fully Jedi, just fucking obliterating those Dark Troopers was awesome. And it's single-handedly the best damn thing that Disney have ever done.
I watched that when I saw that the X-wing come in. I went, they're not gonna do Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
and then he comes in, and I went, looks Ahsoka-ish. Yeah, I'm going, oh, looks Ahsoka-ish. And then the green lightsaber comes out. I'm like, no. And I'm just sitting there going, you've got all the way up into the bridge until he takes his hood down. I'm just going, no, they're not going to do Disney. Disney do something sensible like that. No, never. And then he pulls his head down. And I went, oh, I can't wait to hear the guy's reaction to this. Because me and you, we were trying to work out who was, because we knew someone was going to come up and save the baby at the end. Yeah, that was definite. But we both ruled out Luke Skywalker. We did. We both went. You were like Mace Windu. I was like Ezra Miller. Yeah. So we both had like picked sides and stuff. And the one thing that we really wanted, which we went, Disney are not going to do, they did. And I was like, shit. Because you were like, it's going to be Mace Windu, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, it's not going to be fucking Mace Windu. And I wanted to call you up and tell you, you're wrong. It wasn't fucking Mace Windu. It was Luke Skywalker. That was the first time that from my perspective, that Disney did something sensible and turned a corner. And I've listened to a lot of people talk about this. And they tell me, I said, if you'd have done that in the films, you would have made billions. And they didn't.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that's upsetting.
All you had to do was have all three of them on camera for one fucking scene. One scene. All you needed. You could have killed them all after that. One scene where all three of them are standing next to each other. You've got Luke doing some fucking Jedi mind. If Luke fucking did that as older Luke and then got killed, people would have forgiven it. People would have gone, yeah, he died a hero. He died doing what he was amazing at. You know, you could have killed all three of them, right? And had you done it in a heroic way, people would have been lapping this shit up. People would have been all over that fucking part. Had you got a plan from the offset, had you got a director that wasn't fucking J.J. Abrams, if you had got somebody in at the beginning, if you just fucking planned it, you could have done it. You could have killed them. You could have had these new actors come in. You could have had the new cast come in. All we wanted was that hero shot. And I completely understand why people like Star Wars Theory burst into fucking tears when they saw that, because Luke Skywalker and Han Solo were such important characters for so many kids. Me included. I was fucking brought up on Star Wars. I had no hope. I mean, the first present I ever remember was a bloody Millennium Falcon. You know, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Leia were my heroes as a kid, along with Superman and E.T. And those were the movies that I used to watch all the time. Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, E.T., Superman. And
E.T. Oh, you should be lucky. If you hang around ET, there's a good chance you might probe.
Oh, my dad had a bootleg. My dad had a bootleg of ET on VHS.
I know had a bootleg of fucking ET. My grandparents had one because they had that and the Michael Jackson, and had Michael Jackson's Moonwalker video on there too, because that was hard to get hold of in those days.
But I just to explain the emotion. When we were the artist formerly known as Facebook, and we did that trailer reaction to Force Awakens, why that scene that they put into that trailer just had such an emotion for me when Solo walks onto the ship with Chewie and goes, "We're home." That gave me goosebumps, right? And then you see the film and it was a bit shit. But George Favreau and Dave Filoni, I don't, in one fucking scene, managed to bring back the fandom.
Anyway,
why the fuck are they not in charge of Star Wars?
Right, just to hang on a second. Just a couple of things to note. One, Nigel probably didn't know about this. There's a guy called Star Wars Theory. He's got a YouTube channel. 2.7 million people follow him on YouTube. Yeah, big fucking following. Yeah. One of the guys from the Lucas Story Group. This is the Kathleen Kennedy's.
He's a vice president. He's vice president of creativity. I think Lucasfilm.
Okay, a guy called Pablo Hidalgo, yeah, insulted him on Twitter by saying he shouldn't be showing his emotions, and he goes, those should be kept private and stuff like that. Yeah, that guy has his influence is 2.7 million. Apparently, the day before he insulted them, Disney installed a president of social media or something along those social media and marketing, something along those days. So he did that, and then he was told to apologize to Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo Hidalgo was told to apologize to this guy. So the guy sent him a telephone number and an email. Star Wars Theory doesn't want anything to do with it because Star Wars Theory turned around and he talks about being like bullied and stuff as a kid, and when he had chemotherapy and his hair was missing and all this horrible shit that he went through. And he doesn't want anything to do with it, which is probably the right thing to do. The marketing
because this guy pinned the fucking tweet up. You know, then everybody reacted to it.
No, he turned it into his banner picture.
Yeah, he turned it into a banner to be a prick because he is an absolute prick, right? And then 24 hours later, removes everything because Disney comes down on him like a fucking ton of bricks, and then gives one of the most insincere apologies I've ever seen. This guy should be fired.
Yeah. No, he should be fired. Any other company, he would be fired. I have no idea why they didn't fire him. I don't know why they haven't fired him for his previous stuff. I would be looking at him as a value for money proposition and turn around and say, 2.7 million people are going to know that you're a dick and you work for us. You're not even a movie star. There's the door. Bye-bye. That's it. Because that's the thing you do.
Instead of getting him to think, if they fired him on the fucking spot, this would be over, right? And you know, you win the fans back, and then you do this. I just, Jesus Christ. Yeah. You need to put Filoni and Favreau in charge. Get rid of Kennedy. Get rid of everybody else running that thing, and put those guys in charge.
Tits. There is some good news.
I'm pissed about it.
Apparently, Galaxy's Edge in Disney World and Disneyland, the control of that is being given over to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And they're going to bring it back towards The Mandalorian because more people watched The Mandalorian and enjoyed it.
Yeah,
which is going to be good. Anyway, we've gone on about that. We're going to talk about one of my favorite TV shows. My wife enjoyed this too. Cobra Kai. It was originally YouTube's original, and I think Netflix bought the rights via Sony. It's produced by Will Smith and John Lasseter, and it's brilliant. It is brilliant.
The reason Will Smith is involved is because he bought the rights. Because he bought the rights to remake it with Jackie Chan and his kid, didn't he? That's why Will Smith is involved. He owns Karate Kid or something. Well, certainly owns a share of it.
Probably does. But that's to get away from it. The story of Johnny Lawrence and Daniel Russo as grown-ups, and then the influence they have on children, and then the children doing mad things. Really good, so good.
You see, Karate Kid film came on TV the other week during Christmas, and we only caught the last couple of minutes of it. You know where he does the crow kick thing?
Yes, which was an illegal kick.
It's an illegal kick. I was going to say that.
Hang on a second. It comes up in the show because Johnny Lawrence, every time he has an interaction with Danny Russo, goes, "You beat me with an illegal kick."
Does that come up in Cobra Kai?
That comes up in Cobra Kai.
Oh, good. Because
he holds it over him.
Although Daniel, I just find him in the films just a bit boring. But it's a bit the films really. Now watching him back, it's a bit. I still can't get over the fact he with an illegal kick because obviously I did karate for quite a few years. I'm a brown belt. I know what a legal kick is, and I see it and I go, "How can
but
you?"
it comes up in the show. It does. It comes up. You beat me with an illegal kick. It turns and goes, "Oh no, but that's not the Hill Valley rules. They were playing by different rules." And the think above the waist counted. It is a sort and a sticking point, which I really enjoy because if you watch Karate Kid from Johnny Lawrence's thing, this Daniel LaRusso turns up, steals his girlfriend. Yeah, he then tries to put him back in his place. He then beats him with a legal kick in a karate competition. So it has different connotations. It looks different from different angles. It's great.
I was going to say, from a different perspective, Daniel Russo is the prick.
Dick.
And the only thing I've seen of this Cobra Kai is where Daniel does something, and the fella that is there, the one who he beat, and he introduces to some people that he's with, maybe in a car showroom or something, and he goes, "Oh," and they go, "Oh, is this the guy that you beat?" "Yeah, I beat his ass," and I'm sitting there going, "You're a tosser, mate."
No. This is the thing: is they
quick, mate.
What do you call it? They flip from being assholes to nice people back and forth, which makes them much more interesting as you're watching it. And it's the same with the kids too, because if you look at the Hawk kid in the first season, he's the one he's the one with the funny lip, cleft palate person. He has his ass kicked, at school and gets bullied because he's got a cleft palate and whatnot. And then he becomes a bully when he learns karate. And he turns into the bully for ages until you get to season 3, and then stuff happens, and I can't talk about that because you guys haven't watched it.
It was clear that he was going to get. He was going to get. You've hit the nail on the head in the fact that the clever thing about Cobra Kai is they change perspectives. So you go from Daniel being a dick, Daniel being a nice guy. Basically, they turn them into 3-dimensional characters, and neither of them are good, and neither of them are bad. I missed Mr. Miyagi because I don't like accent, which everybody knows, and it translates into all languages. But I mean, Karate Kid's still a good movie. It's still likable if you watch it now. I don't think it's in there because I love Mr. Miyagi. But I think what they've done is, although it misses Mr. Miyagi, he's still there, and the fact that they've somehow managed to make it look and feel like the films, and yet give that 3-dimensional stuff to all of the characters is very, very clever. It's very well made. It's again very, very likable to watch, and it was it is my favorite thing from YouTube originals, and I'm glad that Netflix. Oh, thank you, Netflix. Saved this for another couple of seasons.
Yes. I like the fact that when Johnny and Danny are put together in the same room, they have more in common than they don't have. Yeah, and then in the first series, there's a bit where they kind of team up to try and sort something out, and you can see that under other circumstances, they would be the best of friends. Yeah, and that's the really funny thing. They're the best of friends, but they would have that arsehole competitive edge that only men seem to have, and it's quite good. Where you've got Johnny Lawrence, he's removed from time slightly, so he makes jokes. It's like, let's put that on the internet because use one of those hash brown things on it. Yeah, because he's like removed from the internet, and it's like kind of him and the Miguel kid when they team up in this series. I'm going to spoil something. Yeah, the Miguel kid gets his back broken at the end of the second season. Yeah, and he spends most of the third season recovering, but Johnny Lawrence does it in a way that, how can I put it, wouldn't be recommended by doctors. He tells him a story about some Chinese dairy farmers being lazy, waiting for water. And he goes, that story's made up. He talks about this thing where this old man lit fires under each one of them. Yeah. Now he can't feel his legs. Yeah. And he's telling him this story, and he's like, kind of, because that's a shit story. He goes, it's not true. It doesn't make any sense. He goes, yeah, no, I was trying to distract you from the fact that I've set fire to your shoes. And he set fire to the kid's shoes. And he goes, go on, move. Like that. Please. And then there's like, kind of, okay. And he's like, he goes, right, you can make it. And he like, it's almost like Little Britain in places. The two of them together, hilarious. And then for the team up for Daniel and Johnny in this series, they go around behaving like a buddy cop kind of people, but they're not cops. And there's a bit where he's driving in his like Daniel's driving in his flashy Audi and whatnot, and he's like, talking on the thing and that, and Johnny then says, "Oh, I'll chase him down." So he jumps into the car, gets control, and goes, "Oh, this thing's got some real speed like that," and he's like breaking the law and whatnot because they've got it in their heads, the both of them, for a moment, that they're cops, and they just get carried away. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And in the second series, they have one where they go out to a Mexican restaurant and they can't get a separate table. So the wife of Daniel and the girlfriend of Johnny said, "No, I'll just sit together." And they're sitting there and they're chatting away. And there's a bit, they have like a little moment, and they do this in the show, and they do it really well. But they have these little moments where the waitress comes up to the table, she takes the order, but she doesn't write anything down. So Johnny's like, can you write it down? Goes, you'll cock it. No, Daniel, sorry, he's like, can you write it down? Yeah. Goes, and as she goes away, Johnny's like, she's going to cock up the order. Yeah, she's going to cock. She didn't write it down. And Daniel's like, yeah, she's going to cock up the order. Comes back, guess what? She's cocked the fucking order up. And they're both like, yeah, see, told you so. And then they have that little moment where they're both on the same side. And those little glimmers, it's really kind of, it makes it more engaging, and it gives the characters more depth.
Does one spoiler I asked for? Does What's-Her-Face turn up in season 3? The girlfriend. Yeah.
She's the one who brings them together.
Okay. Cool.
But you have to wait a fucking long time for it to happen.
Of course. They're going to send that one
out. From the first film?
Yes.
Yes.
The one who was in...
they've been teasing her for 2 seasons. They've been teasing her for 2 seasons. And seeing she hasn't got a job in The Boys anymore, because, she got fucking laser-eyed.
Laser-eyed. Okay.
Anyway, yes, love Cobra Kai. Awesome.
It is. Cobra Kai is fantastic. Now, another TV series. I think we all 3 of us like this TV series. And Nigel brought this up right at the beginning, and my wife loves it, and I love it too. And it's nice entertainment. I put it in the same vein as Cobra Kai, where it's just nice to watch these people do things, even though there's murder involved. It's called Death in Paradise, and it's set on a Caribbean island of San Marie, but it's not San Marie. It's actually a place called Guadeloupe. And they're like the police.
When you say it's involving murder, it's kind of like sweet fluffy murder.
Yes, it's sweet. It is sweet fluffy murder. It's not gruesome. It's not kicking and
it's
screaming.
It's Midsummer's Murders just done well on a fucking desert island.
The thing is, the amount of murders they have on this island, I wouldn't go to that island.
Oh, it's the same in Midsummer's Murders, though, wasn't it? That was the running joke, that everybody in the fucking Midlands was dead.
Oh, the house prices are really low. The house prices are really low. It must be really cheap to go to San Marie. That's the conclusion I've reached. It's really cheap to go to San Marie because people keep dying. Now it's weird. It has a rotating cast. The commissioner did was he hired a foreigner to be the police, the chief police inspector, because he knew that most of the murders were happening with the tourists. So in his wisdom, he hired a foreigner to deal with them. So it was
Richard
Ben
Paul.
Miller's character. I can't remember his name. Sorry, what was his name?
Richard Paul.
Richard Paul was the first character, but you have to remember the character. The island was half French because it was under French colony. It was a French colony at one point. So it also hires a French detective to match up with her. And I can't remember her name too. And I can picture her and everything. Camille, yes, because her and Humphrey always had a thing because she brought my compass right at the end. And he hires these people, and they kind of then swap them out. So she got replaced with Florence. Richard got replaced with Humphrey. Then Humphrey got replaced with...
Richard got killed.
He got killed, yes.
He got killed, and Humphrey came in to solve his murder at the start of season 3.
Yes, I remember him falling off the side of the balcony.
I think he was my favourite out of all of them. I mean, I
like
the funny thing is the Irish fella, but
I like them all. I don't
know
know.
that-
I just
I
like
wouldn't like Ralph Little, but I
Humphrey
like
the
Ralph
best.
Little. They're all great.
I haven't. I haven't seen Ralph Little yet. I've been meaning to watch the Ralph Little season of it so far, and I haven't got round to it yet. But I like Ralph Little anyway, so I'm sure he'll be good.
I'm not sure who he is. To be fair, Ralph Little.
He's the one with all the allergies.
I know. Yeah, I know he's the one with all the allergies.
As an
but
actor, he was in numerous things, like 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. That's where I first knew him from, and then
He also
wasn't he in the
played
Royal
for
Family as well.
Chertsey Town Football Club.
He did, yes.
I remember that.
But he's a funny actor.
I don't know. I can't.
He plays football,
don't
Nigel.
know.
You must know him. It's the only thing you do know, football.
No, but all right, he might play football. But at the moment, he's got a lot to go to endear me to his character, because I just find him a whiny little bitch from the start, and I can't stand it. He's the first detective who's been in the show who I don't like. I just simply don't like. Don't like him.
See, the thing, it's weird because when you had Florence and Humphrey was doddering, proper old man doddering. Yeah.
Clumsy.
And Florence was like the one who would keep his notepad and his car keys and all this stuff. And she had this great look of tolerance. He'd do something and then she'd shoot the camera. She wouldn't have to say a word. She'd shoot the camera a look where it's like, kind of, he's doing it a fucking game, isn't he? Yeah, there's your notepad. Yeah, wipe your nose. Yeah,
he's sitting there going, and his hand just comes in and goes,
yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Those little things that make the characters much more interesting. It's weird because if you watch Stargate Atlantis, there's a character called Taylor and a character called Rodney McKay, and she has a similar relationship with him, where she has this look of tolerance. She knows that he's a genius and he can fix things, but boy, is he a fucking pain in the ass. And it's the same relationship dynamic between those two. I liked Richard Paul at first because they tried to write like a stereotypical English copper. He looked like he'd be the inspector in Midsummer, and they literally just lifted him out and plopped him into the thingy and made him really uncomfortable.
He was only ever wearing a suit, a tie, no matter the weather.
And he always had his bag with it. Yeah, he'd be in like kind of 90-degree weather with his suit on.
With his briefcase. He was a briefcase wanker.
Yes.
And he would never. Sometimes he might loosen the top button on his shirt.
Yes. But he'd never let anyone see that he'd loosened the top button on his shirt. It would be when no one's looking. He was like, I was looking.
And then you compare him. He was very like, I need a drink. I need tea. And it's like, it's 90 degrees out here. Yeah, tea. Whereas Humphrey comes along and he was like a breath of fresh air for the characters around him, wasn't he? Although he was a bit bumbling, a bit of a, klutz. He'd be walking along and then he'd look down and go, shit, I'm actually walking in the sea and I'm a bit wet. And, and they're going, you're in the sea? And he goes, yes, I am. It sort of happens to me. And he's in Catherine's bar and she goes, what drink do you want? Expecting him to say tea because he's English. And she went, do you want tea? And he went, oh, God, no. It's too hot for that. Surprise me. And she's like, oh, thank God for that. But then you've got, I've forgotten his name, the next DI who
Mooney.
is Irish, Mooney. Yeah. I think I liked his character. He was obviously had an older head on his shoulders, but he was quite likable. He wasn't bumbling. He just he was not too quirky, but he was just a likable older Irish DI, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
The less said about the latest one. I need to see the latest series to see if he.
I thought it was good. It's the way that my favourite character in it is Selwyn, who's the police commissioner. Who always gives me the impression he doesn't do anything, but he's always up to something.
There was an episode in series 3 or 4, actually 4. We were watching season 4 at the moment with Humphrey, and he's turned up. Selwyn's turned up. He said a few things, and he goes, "Keep me abreast of the situation." And he walks away, slowly as he goes. And Humphrey says to the team, "I do wonder what he does all day." And they all sort of looked at him and went, "Oh, never mind."
He's great. There was one. I think it was with Humphrey where he I think it was like in the first season that Humphrey was there, and he turned around and goes, "Look at him." He goes, "I've always wanted to say this," and he's like being really kind of I can't remember the actor's name. Anyway, the actors have got. He's very. He has received pronunciation. Talks really posh.
Selwyn.
Sorry, the Commissioner Selwyn. Yeah.
Yeah. That is Don Warrington.
Don Warrington. If you ever hear Don Warrington talk normally, he's got received pronunciation. Talks really posh and that. And he looks at him with this little gleam in his eye, and he's like, "Kind of, I've always wanted to say this. You've got 24 hours to solve this case," like that. Then walks off, and you can go. And it's like the way the actor played him. It's this little gleam in his eye. Guys, you know what? It doesn't matter how bad this works out. You've got 24 hours. It's just always liked that. And the character, I like all the characters. I don't think I've hated any of the characters in it. I think they're all, they're all fine. I think the only one I didn't like in it was the person who plays Florence in Moody's season, because she didn't do anything. She was just there. They never gave her. I feel bad for the actress because she wasn't given anything as an actress to work with.
I'm not sure if she was in it, was she? I'm just looking at this. And she's not even...
second last season. She just left recently. I think she's been in 2 seasons. She did nothing. You didn't know anything about her. Wasn't really a character.
Yeah, I mean, she was quite good from when she joined. I mean, she joined at what is it? The end of 3rd, start of 4th, wasn't it? And
I think it was the beginning of the season.
She joined as a sergeant because Fidel left.
No, it's because Florence left. No, Florence was the replacement.
No. So Fidel was alongside. He was a sergeant. He got his sergeant exam, passed his sergeant exam. Yeah. So he was sergeant alongside Dwayne. Yeah. And then Fidel got an offer and he moved away, and they replaced her with Florence. So Florence was the sergeant. Okay. Then what's her face moved away. I've forgotten her name now. I said it earlier. Camille left to go to France, Paris, undercover, and that's when Florence took over
from Camille,
as the DS.
Then so Florence gets shot, and her boyfriend gets killed, and then Watsamush comes over to evaluate her, because every time someone gets shot who works for the French detective agencies, they have to have an evaluation, and then she winds on staying on after, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I mean, we're on season 4 at the moment, midway through. So we need. I need to watch more because I really do like it. It's one of those that we have been.
Do you want to hear the funny thing, Nige? Is that they're on season 10. They're having the 10th anniversary, and they're bringing back as many of the cast as they can. Even the guy who plays Richard Poole is coming back. So I'm assuming there's a case that he picked up, didn't finish. Humphrey picked up, didn't finish. Moody picked up, didn't finish. And the Ralph Little character is going to finish off. Because that's the only way you can really do it, is in this case of, like, I don't know, someone who, like a serial killer or something, has been murdering, but they collect it.
And Camille is back to assist, I think.
Yes. And I think I'm gonna enjoy the hell out of that. That's the only thing on the BBC that I like.
It's brilliant.
I watched Doctor Who on New Year's Day. That's because I couldn't watch all the Cobra Kai in one sitting. That's punishment enough, not being able to watch Cobra Kai, but then watching Doctor Who. The thing is, I watched it and I was like, it's got John Barrowman in it. I quite like John Barrowman in it. John Barrowman was desperately not trying to outshine anyone, but clearly fucking did. It's terrible garbage. Don't watch it. Save yourself the time.
No, it was a garbage story. Nothing really happened. It felt, you know how you compared season 1 of this new Doctor to being really enclosed and not feeling big and just feeling lonely, and it very much felt like that.
Yes.
And it was shit. It was shit. It wasn't.
It felt like
fun.
an empty universe.
She's not the Doctor. She can't play the Doctor. She doesn't light up the screen. She was bland and shit.
She can't act.
There was nothing there that was good
She just can't act.
except John Barrowman.
Just to ignore that, whatever program you were just talking about exists, which I do, I ignore it. I'd like to just say, I know you've segued onto whatever that program was, but I'd rather carry on talking about Death in Paradise.
No, I was kind of moving on to our gaming section because I'm desperately trying to keep our time in here.
Just one last thing for Death in Paradise. There are only 2 characters who have been in all 10 seasons. Only 2.
Oh, that's the woman at the bar and Selwyn.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, there's 3. There's 3.
What's the
Don't
third
forget Harry.
Oh, Harry doesn't count. No, because I'm sure he was CGI, and then he was real, and then he was CGI.
I think so.
Yeah. And do you know what? And to end on a nice note, I was because we've been watching quite a lot of it, and we really love the scenery of that place, the fake Saint Marie. It's in obviously Guadeloupe that you said, and Guadeloupe. It's in an area of Guadeloupe. I can't even pronounce it. It begins with a B. And they've used in that section a lot of the hotels on the beach along there and along the coastline. They've used a lot of those hotels for scenes and deaths, basically. And they do tours around there.
Yes.
So you can go around and visit places, and it apparently doesn't cost much. Obviously, it's locked down at the moment, but I was looking into it going, I wouldn't mind a holiday there. It's fucking amazing.
Nigel, have you never been to the Caribbean? No?
No.
Go to the Caribbean. Yeah, everyone has to do it once. If you can't go to the Caribbean, go to the Seychelles, but need to do one of those 2 places or Hawaii, because they're just nice. There's kind of like volcanic-y islands in the water.
It just looks amazing, and that's brings me back to what I said to Keith at the start. He's stuck on this island with the pictures I saw. Just reminds me of the scenery that you get in Death in Paradise, and it looks glorious, and I really, really want to go. And on that note, can we go to gaming?
Yes, we'll go to gaming. So, PS5 came out this year. I think I came out with like 4 games.
Yeah.
One was Godfall, not interesting. The other one was Bug Snacks, which you've played and I've played, and I'm like, this is like a PS3 game.
Yeah. And with Bug Snacks, I've noticed it takes forever to load, and when you go between different places, different zones, it also takes forever to load, and it's nowhere near as good as Miles Morales.
Yeah, it is. So it's so Miles Morales is a weird one because Miles Morales kind of comes across as a what do you call it? An add-on for the Spider-Man game. So there's more like if you played the add-ons, like the ones with Black Cat and whatnot, feels like that. But they expanded it. They put snow all over the place, and they stretched the missions out across the map, and you got to play as Miles Morales. It's a little whiny. He does need a bit of a slap. Peter just needs to give him a couple of backhands, and I'm sure he'll be fine. But it is a good game and really enjoyable. I'm a little annoyed at what they did with the Tinkerer. I would have preferred it if she would have worked for the Tinkerer and maybe murdered the Tinkerer and took his stuff. That might have worked a bit better. You know, she was his protege, and that kind of thing as things were pulled up. I played it in the ray tracing mode. Everyone said play it in the 60 frames with the baked in lighting rather than the ray tracing, not the baked in lighting. Went and played it that way. Really enjoyed the crap out of it. It took me a good while to get back into it because I could get across one side of New York Island to the other in like 30 seconds previously, because there's like little tricks to make it go quicker. It's like you do the swing, you jump onto the thing, you do the boost off, you swing down and get to the bottom of it, and then swing up, and then it just gives you so much speed, and you get like trophies and stuff like that. It took me a good while to get back into it and kind of get into the swing of it. The load times are really noticeable because when you play Spider-Man on the PS4 and you if you ever took the subway just to see how the subway worked in it, the subway in this is you press the button and you're walking up the stairs to where you're going. There's no subway bit in the middle. It's just up the stairs and then you're in, which is fantastic. Absolutely brilliant thing. Rhino as the bad guy, as the big kind of not the big bad guy, but as the bad guy. Roxxon Corporation, naturally, they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
And
as soon as you saw them and their head honcho that you meet when you're with Peter after defeating Rhino, you think, yeah, he comes across as a bit of a smarmy git, and he's going to be the big bad here.
Even though actually technically the Tinkerer was the bad guy because she fucked up royally.
I didn't get the only thing I did really enjoy the game. I enjoyed the swinging, the fighting, and the new moves and everything that they gave you. The only thing that annoyed me is when you fight the Tinkerer, she's got all these fancy toys.
Mm-hmm.
However, I wouldn't have thought those fancy toys would have stopped her being knocked the fuck out as soon as Spider-Man hit her, because that's not the sort of toys that she had. Yeah. She had toys to do damage to people and to fly and stuff. But when she got hit in the face by Spider-Man, who can hit pretty hard, let's be fair, you would have thought, bang, she's down. Oh, cool, she's down. But no, she lasts longer than bloody Rhino.
Yeah, that pissed me off. That was a touch of the Blackbird in Uncharted 4, where you didn't even get to fight her as a boss at the end, which was annoying as hell. And
to be fair, the end fight with the Tinkerer was really quite. It had a mixture of difficulty in there and a bit of skill that you needed, and a little bit in there that was good. I didn't mind the big fight at the end of the game. Quite good, quite cool, and it was just a shame about that. As soon as I finished the game, I did decide that I would start on New Game Plus. So
yeah, I did that with
just
Spider-Man.
I wanted the new bits that unlock once you start a New Game Plus.
Yeah, it is good because you do get those extra bits that you unlock as you go.
Yeah. And you need those if you want to platinum.
Dude, you can just pop it on. I popped the Spider-Man PS4 when I got all the gear and New Game Plus mode, and I'm joking, I was unfucking stoppable. Keith even will attest to the fact that I go do this, and it was like, oh my god, you are completely unstoppable with all these add-ons.
Yeah, you are.
It's a very enjoyable game, to be fair. For me, it felt a little bit more than I didn't bother with the DLC on Spider-Man, the original game, but I don't feel like Miles Morales is short enough to be DLC. It was long enough to keep me entertained. It's probably not, a full price game in my opinion. It's sort of like midway between. It should maybe be
a full price game, Nige,
so
because it was originally intended to be DLC. So you got your wish there. They got your nice. They got your back on that one. Yeah, that was that. I really enjoyed the crap out of that one. Another one that I really enjoyed the hell out of was Days Gone. Now, Days Gone when it launched it was like a bit of a buggy mess, and considering that The Last of Us Part 2 came out and just fucking Days Gone is the zombie game to replace that. Even though they're technically not zombies, they're suffering from what they call the hooligan virus, which makes everything more aggressive and stuff. And it's great. It's like imagine watching The Walking Dead, but they followed through on everything. Yeah. So they follow through. So the bit where the helicopter turns up, they chase down the helicopter and find out what the helicopter's doing. Yeah. So they follow through on it. The origin of the virus, you actually find out what the origin of the virus was. Yeah. The fact that the virus will the walkers in Walking Dead die off? Will they starve to death? Yeah, or will they just carry on? Yeah, where they answer this question in there, but it's all done through very clever ways where you interact with this organization called Nero. On top of that, you've got people. Imagine coming across Negan's lot and being able to murder them, and that they all stay dead. Yeah. That is what you get in Days Gone. Yeah, there's a bit where it's like fucking Incy Wincy Spider, and you take care of these people. They call themselves Rippers, and they hock themselves up on this drug, and they don't feel any pain, so they carve shit into their forehead and whatnot. Yeah, imagine having all of these things. Yeah, but it all works out. Imagine having the military in The Walking Dead. Yeah, because you didn't have the military. That's the one thing that was missing from The Walking Dead. Imagine having them in The Walking Dead. Yeah. Imagine all this other stuff, and it plays out, and it all adds up, and and it works out beautifully, and it's a really good game. I'm actually worried that when they do the sequel, though, I don't want them to use the same character. I want that character to come in and save their lives, yeah. And there's a twist at the end of the game, yeah. I just talked about it at the beginning of the year. And there's a twist at the end of the game. When you get to the end of the game and you get a call over the radio, it goes, "Come and meet me." And it's like, I don't need to meet you. I've got everything I want. Come and meet me. I need to tell you about some stuff. And then you go and meet this guy, and he explains, and then you see that, oh fuck, things are a lot worse than I actually thought. So the game then gets that kind of thing to carry on. I've played it on the PS4 at the beginning of the year on a standard PS4, and I played it on my PS5 where it's got the patch to make it 60 frames a second, to up all the graphics and stuff. And it is good, one good looking game, and the details they put in there, it's just all over the top. You know, really good stuff in there, and you need to play it, Nigel, on your PS5. It's on the PlayStation Collection.
I've got it downloaded. It was one of the first games. When I looked at the PS Plus collection, I went through the list going, yep, I want that one. And Days Gone is the only one that I downloaded from that collection. And I have played it a little bit. I've gone to the first camp that you go to get, because he's trying to get his motorbike back. And you do get this bit of a rust bucket bike. And it is... so far, it is a really good game, but
it builds. It starts off a bit crap, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the thing was, I started it and I'm going, right, I can see myself playing a lot of this, so I want to finish Miles Morales first, get that out of the way, and then I can get on to Days Gone, because Days Gone does look like it's got a lot of depth to it, so it's certainly one I'm going to be putting a bit of time into.
Yeah. Okay. Could be played. Keith, if you get the chance to play Days Gone, play Days Gone. It's a really good game. It really is. Seriously, there's some bits in it. The twist. I want Nigel to finish it so I can talk to him about the twist at the end, because there's a twist at the end and it's fantastic. And it fits perfectly, and it explains a lot of stuff. Because there's bits in the game that you're going, why can't I do this? And then when you get to the end of it, you go, oh, that's why I couldn't do it. Oh, it would have given away that. And it's really well done. You wanted to have quickly talk about God of War, but before you start, you know that the sequel to God of War is coming out this year, 2021.
I do. I heard that.
Yeah.
God of War. I wanted to give a little mention, because before I started Spider-Man this year, I was playing God of War just to finish it off, and it was a very enjoyable game. Very good fighting mechanics, and there was only a couple of bits that knocked me on it. Was the when you can move to different realms, even though you unlock the big, like, I don't know, realm selector, there were some that were locked off, even though you could see them, but they were locked, and they looked like they would never be implemented. I thought it would be part of DLC to unlock that realm and then go through it, but it never was. There was never anything like that. So it was a very... I know I'm going to keep this fairly brief with God of War, because everyone must know about God of War by now. Very good game. I enjoyed the mechanics. I like the different weapons that you can get. Good variety in them, and I love the fact that he's with his kid and he's teaching him the ways.
One that kid's name.
Boy.
No, he's not Boy.
That's his name. Boy.
No, his name's Loki.
Yeah.
That's and if you know anything about Loki and Balder, Loki got Balder killed for a joke. And it's when she gives him the thing, it's made of mistletoe, and I'm like, oh, I know how he's going to die now, because I know my Norse mythology. And even actually indicates the end of Loki and that. So that game was good. The best bit, I think, was when he had to go to Helheim, and he gets his Hellblades, and they're fantastic. I think, Keith, your thing's going off for a second, mate.
Sorry.
Okay, I can hear his Siri going off. He's sitting there and I hope he's drinking a cocktail. I'll have to check on him in a moment. But yeah, it was a really good game. The last fight when you're fighting through the giant realm, I think it's the giant realm, or it was the giant realm, not Helheim. When you're fighting through that was great. And then you finally get to the realm, and you find out all the giants have been killed off. That was and then there's the mural on the wall of how Loki gets it, but they've included thingy. I think that they're going to do God of War like they originally intended to, where the God of War, he collects weapons and stuff, and then at one point he gets Kronos' scythe. Kronos is the big Greek god, the Titan that started it all off, and he gets his scythe, and then eventually Kratos turns into, he gets like a black hood and stuff, and he's holding a scythe. And guess what? He's the god of death, and that's how it's supposed to wind up. He's supposed to be the one death, the one that comes for all. Or Doom, I think it was in it was Doom in it's Doom in thingy, where Doom comes for everyone at the end in Greek mythology, or could be Nordic, I can't remember. So yeah, that was fantastic. Okay, all right.
And, I know it's not a game, however, we spoke about PS5. We both got the next Xbox Series X and S. And the thing that come with it, Ultimate Pass. So, although it's not a game in particular, it's worth mentioning that since getting the Xbox Series X and you got the S, Ultimate Pass has been brilliant due to sheer amount of games that are available to download and just play. So I'm pretty happy so far with my X. Actually, I think. Probably, I'm just a bit gutted there's no exclusives on there to properly play. I've been playing Gears 5 a bit and Gears 4 mostly, which is great. Forza, I've downloaded Forza. Horizons, that's a decent enough game. Like a little car game here and there. I'm just looking forward to this current gen exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of someone's phone's going off. Right. Before we move on to our final what the fuck section, happy new lockdown to you, Rapster. And I've realised he's got Greta bloody Thunberg in his bloody image there. Happy what do you call it? Hooky playing Greta Thunberg. Hello, Berlin Hobbit. I forgot that right. Baldwin Hobbit. I'm a bit tired. But yeah, thanks for that. And let's move on to our final what the fuck thing, and we'll get that sorted. So. Okay, so Girl 7 asks, it's always about a mum. It's always mum in these stories that I pick. I don't know why. It doesn't involve a sex toy this time, okay, guys? Girl 7 asks duck birthday cake, and mum's hilarious attempt goes viral. A mum pleaded with people not to laugh her attempt to recreate a duck cake that her daughter had picked out of a cookbook to celebrate her 7th birthday. Okay, so here's the picture of the duck. It's quite a creative use
using
of
crisps.
She's using crisps.
Oh dear God.
Okay, and popcorn. Now, popcorn you can get away with. Okay, it looks, the neck on the problem with that cake will be, because my wife knows all about making cakes, is the neck on that. That thing's going to need a big old bit of dowel rod through to hold the neck in place. Yeah. And this is it looks like an angry elderly hedgehog.
I can't see any difference.
Brilliant.
You know what? I think the effort is appreciated there. Does look like an angry bird rather than a duck, and like it is identical. But look at that! It's just. It's the red eyes, I think, that makes it look angry. It looks like these popcorn looks like hair in rollers for an old person. But I think it's, the effort was there. She put the effort in. She tried her best, and that deserves a how can I put it? A thumbs up and whatnot. Anyway,
Brilliant.
guys, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our first podcast of 2021. Okay. So, guys, thanks for watching. If you can like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz in the bits, we'll catch you in our next podcast. Say goodbye, guys.
Goodbye, guys.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Is it wrong that I've thought of a witty comeback for when a custom agent puts on a pair of rubber gloves? And it's, could you put some hemorrhoid cream on that and check my grapes?